What if the person you thought was lost forever suddenly walked back into your life? Imagine the flood of emotions: shock, hope, anger, and love crashing down all at once. Heartland. Season 19, Episode 1 drops us right into this whirlwind as Ty returns, shaking the very foundations of a family that never stopped waiting for him. But with his return comes more than just reunion. It sparks a new romance that no one saw coming. Get ready to dive deep into the unexpected twists and heartfelt moments that make this episode impossible to forget. The episode opens with a calm, almost peaceful atmosphere that belies the emotional upheaval about to unfold. Amy starts her day at Heartland, tending to a horse with gentle care, a subtle reminder of her strength and resilience over the years. Lindy's presence by her side shows the continuation of the values Amy holds dear: patience, love, and dedication. Yet beneath this calm surface lies a heavy sadness, a lingering emptiness felt by anyone who has endured loss. Amy's glance toward a photo of Ty on her bedside table says everything without a single word spoken. It's a quiet moment charged with years of longing and unanswered questions. She hasn't forgotten him, not for a second, but her heart carries the weight of his absence, and closure still feels out of reach. The camera holds on this image, letting the audience feel the depth of her solitude. Meanwhile, Jack receives a mysterious phone call, a small, simple event that hints at the storm to come. His guarded expression and the secrecy of the call suggest he's preparing himself and the family for something earth-shattering. It's a masterstroke in storytelling, building suspense without rushing, pulling viewers into the unfolding mystery. Then, from the edges of the Heartland Ranch, a figure appears. The silhouette walking toward the familiar gates is instantly recognizable to those who know the story, yet the disbelief in Jack's voice, a whisper that barely breaks the silence, signals that nothing will be the same. The tension climbs slowly, a heartbeat before the moment of impact, as every character's world is about to be turned upside down. Amy, unaware at first, is in the barn brushing Spartan, the horse that symbolizes peace for her. The faint but deliberate footsteps behind her create an eerie calm before the emotional storm. She turns, and there he is. Ty standing bathed in golden afternoon light, alive but changed. The silence speaks volumes. This isn't a reunion filled with frantic words or explanations. It's raw emotion, shock, and the breathless pause of disbelief. Amy's reaction is visceral, frozen in a mix of denial and desperate hope. Her breath catches, eyes widen, and tears form. Ty's voice cracks as he says her name, a single word that unravels years of pain. The moment they embrace is electric and charged with all the unspoken feelings that have been simmering under the surface. It's a reunion that isn't just about love or romance. It's about the soul-deep ache of missing someone, the fragile hope of healing, and the courage to face the unknown together. The innocence of Lindy's reaction follows, offering a heartbreaking contrast to Amy's complex emotions. When Amy gently introduces Lindy to her father, the child's trust and acceptance are pure and simple. Her immediate embrace of Ty, her recognition of him as the man in the photo, breaks through the episode's tension like a ray of sunlight. Lindy's unwavering faith in her father's return offers the audience a glimpse of hope and the possibility of new beginnings, untainted by the past. Jack's response adds another layer to the emotional tapestry. Known as the family's steady anchor, his initial stern confrontation with Ty carries years of protective anger and hurt. Yet beneath the harsh words is a deep love and a desire for healing. Jack's journey from guarded suspicion to tentative acceptance is a powerful reminder of the human capacity for forgiveness when faced with genuine remorse. As the episode unfolds, the reactions of those closest to Ty build a complex emotional landscape. Each character's pain, hope, and anger ripple through the story, setting the stage for what promises to be a season full of deep emotional exploration and renewal. Ty's return doesn't bring immediate peace. Instead, it stirs up old wounds and forces everyone to confront the past, the pain of absence, the silence of unanswered questions, and the fractured bonds that time alone couldn't heal. The atmosphere at Heartland shifts. What was once a safe haven now feels charged with tension, hesitation, and fragile hope. Lou, Amy's sister is the first to show her inner turmoil openly. She has been the family's silent protector, the rock holding Amy steady through years of grief and uncertainty. So when Ty walks through the door, very much alive and standing before her, the shock crashes into Lou like a tidal wave. Her disbelief is raw, her voice trembling as she demands answers. Why didn't he tell them? Why did he let them grieve for years? Her anger isn't just about feeling betrayed, it's a fierce expression of love for Amy, for the family, and for the brother-in-law she always looked up to. This confrontation isn't about blame alone, but the desperate need to understand how someone could vanish and leave so many shattered pieces behind. Ty listens quietly, absorbing every word, aware that there's no quick fix for such deep hurt. Meanwhile, Georgie struggles with her own storm of emotions. She's grown into a strong, independent woman, shaped not only by her own challenges, but also by the absence of Ty, who was like a mentor and brother to her. Seeing him again isn't joyful. It's a mix of shock and betrayal. "You left us," she tells him quietly, but with weight. Her pain is palpable, a wound that hasn't yet healed. Their reunion takes place not in a room full of people, but in the quiet solitude of the jumping arena, a place filled with memories, dreams, and past promises. Ty's gentle words, acknowledging her growth, and Georgie's honest admission of hurt create a moment of fragile understanding. It's a reunion built on maturity and the slow process of rebuilding trust. Neither rushes to forgiveness, but the door is opened, just a crack, allowing the possibility of healing to enter. Tim's reaction adds another layer to the unfolding drama. Known for his fiery personality, his response is explosive, a burst of anger mixed with heartbreak. He confronts Ty with all the pain the family has suffered, shouting accusations that cut deep. Tim's words remind everyone that Ty's absence wasn't just a physical void, but a wound that touched every part of their lives. Yet even in this outburst, there's something unspoken, a love that Tim struggles to express through anger. After his storm passes, Tim watches from a distance as Ty reconnects with Lindy and Amy. It's a quiet, difficult acceptance, signaling that beneath the anger lies a readiness to move forward. Later, Tim's simple words to Ty, "I'm glad you're home," carry more weight than any grand gesture ever could. This restrained, honest moment between two men is a powerful step toward healing old wounds. At the heart of this turmoil is Amy and Ty's complex dance between past pain and present hope. Their walk to the pond, a place heavy with shared history, is a moment suspended in time. The silence here speaks louder than words, filled with all the years lost and the emotions held back. Amy's question, simple and direct, "Why?" cuts to the core of the mystery. Ty's explanation, filled with fear, pain, and a desperate desire to protect his family, adds new layers of understanding to his disappearance. His confession about the complications after he was shot reveals a man who chose absence out of love, but inadvertently caused more pain than he ever intended. Amy's response, filled with tears but also strength, reminds us all of the power of forgiveness and the courage it takes to keep loving when the heart has been broken. Their intertwined hands and quiet, tear-filled kiss symbolize not a fairy tale ending, but a new beginning, a fragile hope built on honesty and a willingness to face the future together. Through these emotional confrontations and revelations, this episode sets the stage for a season that promises to explore not just reunion and romance, but the messy, difficult process of healing fractured relationships and rediscovering family bonds. Every character is forced to face their pain head-on, but in doing so, they begin to open their hearts to the possibility of second chances. Ty's return has lit a fire under every relationship in the Heartland family. Though his presence breathes hope into the ranch, it also forces each member to confront the version of themselves they became without him, and whether that version can accept him back. There is no going back to how things were. The only way forward now is through the wreckage, piece by piece. Inside the Heartland house, the atmosphere is thick. Every glance, every silence, every unspoken thought is filled with questions. Amy tries to keep her emotions steady, but the uncertainty of what comes next weighs heavy on her. One minute she's looking at Ty with love, the next with fear that this could all disappear again. She doesn't say it out loud, but it's in her eyes every time she watches him hold Lindy or walk through a familiar doorway. What if he leaves again? What if this moment is fleeting? Lou, usually the planner, the fixer, finds herself at a crossroads. For years, she's helped Amy through the dark, shouldered the grief, made decisions for the ranch, for the family. But now, with Ty back, her role feels uncertain. She wants to forgive him. A part of her already has, but the other part still hears Amy's late-night cries, still sees Lindy sleeping beside a cold photograph instead of a father. Her heart is torn between relief and resentment. One evening, Lou watches Ty playing with Lindy from the kitchen window. The child's laughter floats through the air, light and unburdened. Amy stands nearby, smiling softly. A rare, true smile that hasn't graced her face in years. It's in that moment that something inside Lou breaks. Not in pain, but in surrender. Maybe this is what healing looks like. Messy, complicated, imperfect. Maybe the why doesn't matter anymore. She walks outside, sits beside Ty on the steps, and simply says, "I'm trying." Ty nods. Me too. Sometimes that's enough. Jack, the family's unshakable foundation, takes his time watching, observing, feeling. He's not a man of big speeches, but his presence speaks volumes. He walks beside Ty through the barn, fixing a fence, tending to Spartan. The quiet between them is filled with history. Jack finally says, "You ran because you were scared, but fear doesn't make you weak. Staying would have taken strength, but coming back takes even more." His words land softly, but with power. Ty looks at Jack like a son looking for approval. Jack doesn't give it easily, but when he says, "You've got a second chance, don't waste it," it's the closest thing to a father's blessing. Meanwhile, Georgie is still processing in her own way. She doesn't join the family dinners, she stays out longer on rides. Her silence isn't cold, it's careful. She's figuring out who she is now that Ty is back and what she's supposed to feel. One night, she finally sits down with Amy. The two share tea in the kitchen, just like old times. Georgie asks, "How do you just forgive him?" Amy's answer is simple but honest. "I didn't, not right away. I just remembered who he was and who I am when he's around." Georgie nods, her eyes filled with thought. Later, she finds Ty in the stables, brushing down a horse. No words are exchanged at first, just the rhythm of the brush, the quiet of the barn. Then she says, "I missed you, but I needed you to know that I grew up without you, and I'm still standing." Ty looks at her with quiet pride. "You've become everything I believed you could be," he replies. It's not an apology or a plea, it's recognition. And for Georgie, that's all she needed. Their hug is brief, but meaningful. Not an ending. A reconnection. Even Tim, rough-edged and stubborn, begins to shift. At first, his conversations with Ty are short and sharp. "You still good with horses?" he asks one day, tossing a lead rope toward him. It's not about horses. It's about trust. Ty nods and takes the rope. They work side by side, awkward but united by muscle memory and shared history. Later that day, Tim drops a bombshell in his own gruff way. "Amy needs stability now. You ready to give her that?" Ty doesn't blink. "I am." Tim's nod is barely visible, but his acceptance is real. And then there's Lindy, the heart of this unfolding story. She's adapting quickly, as children often do. To her, Ty isn't a mystery. He's her dad, plain and simple. But she has questions too. One night, she asks Amy, "Why didn't Daddy come back sooner?" Amy's breath catches, but she answers truthfully, "Because sometimes grown-ups get lost, and it takes them a while to find their way home." Lindy nods, and with a child's wisdom, she says, "But he's home now." Her faith, untouched by bitterness, becomes the emotional glue holding everyone together. As the family slowly finds its rhythm, again, life at Heartland begins to settle, but not return to normal, because nothing will ever be quite the same. And maybe that's the point. This is a new beginning, one built not on forgetting the past, but carrying it with them as they move forward, together. But just when the dust starts to settle, another unexpected thread begins to unravel. A fresh story blooming quietly in the background, full of promise, and perhaps a hint of romance. And this time, it's not Amy and Ty in the spotlight. Amidst the emotional reunions and the delicate rebuilding of family ties, the ranch pulses with a quieter, subtler energy. the spark of a new romance that hints at change and hope beyond the familiar. This fresh story doesn't steal the spotlight from Ty's return, but it weaves its own thread through the fabric of Heartland, reminding us that life goes on, love evolves, and new connections can heal old wounds. The focus shifts to a character whose journey has been about finding her place in the world, Georgie. After years of struggling with her identity, her dreams, and her complicated ties to the family, this episode reveals her opening to unexpected possibilities. It begins with small moments, a glance, a smile, a shared laugh, that slowly build a quiet tension filled with curiosity and promise. At the jumping arena, Georgie finds herself drawn to a new face, someone who's been around the ranch but has stayed mostly in the background. This character is gentle, yet confident, with a deep understanding of horses and the healing power they hold, just like Georgie herself. Their interactions are subtle, layered with shared glances and unspoken questions. There's no rush, no grand gestures, just the soft unfolding of mutual respect and tentative attraction. This new presence becomes a grounding force for Georgie, someone who listens without judgment, who sees her for who she truly is, beyond the past and the pain. In a world that's been shaken by loss and surprises, this connection is a quiet sanctuary. It's a reminder that while some wounds run deep, there is always room for new beginnings. The episode captures this budding romance with scenes full of meaning beneath the surface. Whether it's a lingering look across the stable, a hand brushing against a horse's mane, or a moment of shared laughter under the open sky, every detail is charged with emotional weight. This subtle storytelling shows us that sometimes the most powerful love stories start not with fireworks, but with a gentle spark. At the same time, the new relationship introduces fresh tension to the family dynamics. Georgie's cautious steps toward happiness are watched closely by others, some with hope, others with protective skepticism. How will Ty's return affect this budding romance? Can the family embrace this new chapter alongside the return of a long-lost father and husband? These questions hover in the air, adding layers of suspense and anticipation. Meanwhile, Amy and Ty's rekindled relationship also faces its own challenges. Their reunion, as heartfelt and hopeful as it is far from a fairy tale. Both carry scars, fears, and the heavy weight of years lost. The episode explores their tentative steps toward rebuilding trust and intimacy, a process marked by quiet conversations, shared memories, and moments of vulnerability. The pond scene, where they sit together under the stars, becomes a symbolic space for healing. Here, words are few but profound, expressing what has been unsaid for so long. Ty's explanation of his disappearance, the surgeries, the fear, the choice to protect his family from pain, adds complexity to his character. It's not a simple apology, but a raw admission of human frailty. Amy's response, a mixture of heartbreak and understanding, reveals her strength and capacity for forgiveness. Their connection, though fragile, feels genuine and deeply rooted in shared history. This dual narrative, Georgie's fresh romance and Amy and Ty's slow reunion, enriches the episode with a balance of hope and realism. It shows the audience that love comes in many forms, each with its own challenges and rewards. It also keeps viewers on the edge of their seats, eager to see how these relationships will evolve in the episodes to come. Adding to the suspense, the episode drops subtle hints that not all is settled at Heartland. Small mysteries linger, a shadowed glance between characters, an unexplained phone call, a tension-filled silence. These moments suggest that the family's journey toward healing will be anything but smooth. There will be obstacles, secrets, and perhaps new conflicts that test their bonds. But for now, the focus remains on the power of connection, old and new, to mend what was broken. Season 19, Episode 1 invites viewers to witness not just the return of a beloved character, but the beginning of fresh stories that promise to keep Heartland's heart beating strong. As the episode closes, the ranch feels alive with possibility. The past lingers, but it no longer defines them. Instead, every character steps forward, carrying hope, pain, love, and the courage to embrace whatever comes next. The stage is set for a season filled with emotional depth, surprises, and the timeless magic that makes Heartland a story about family, resilience, and the enduring power of love.